Welcome to Cardcore Gamer and my first video of 2013. I'm going to take on board a little criticism from people on my other videos saying that they'd like to see some components while I'm talking. While I'm not going to focus hugely on them, I will be showing what I'm talking about while I'm talking in cutaway shots and that sort of thing, just so you can have a better idea of the components in the game and make it easier to visualise what I'm actually talking about. So thank you for your constructive feedback. We'll see how this goes from this point on. Anyway, I'm talking today about King of Tokyo, a game about giant monsters crushing cities and having a hell of a lot of fun doing it. So shall we see whether this is a monster smash or a monstrous mess? King of Tokyo is a game for 1 to 6 players, and it involves large monsters rampaging through cities in the style of Godzilla and King Kong, and it draws upon a lot of different big, bold, sort of cartoon-like monster themes. And really, theme-wise, this should be a great big sort of experience. Personally, I don't think the theme is quite as strong as it sets out to be. Initially, it seems with the artwork that the theme carries across the game and really is quite rich, but to be fair, it's only the artwork holding it together. Your main mechanic in the game is rolling dice. You get 6 really lovely, hefty dice that you roll. They're custom D6s. In early copies of the game they were printed, in later copies they're engraved. If you can find a later copy, definitely do. Much nicer that way. So you roll your dice and you're trying to get claws to hit with, hearts to heal with, energy to buy upgrades, and numbers to score yourself some victory points. And this is the first where it falls down. The game was won on 20 victory points. That just doesn't work for me. It's a game about monsters smashing up a city. You get points by trashing shops and destroying the army and being in Tokyo itself. Why are they called victory points? They should have been called something else. They should have been called, destruction points or damage points or, rampage points. Something that gets across the theme that you're not just scoring points that'll eventually accrue you a victory, that you're actually scoring points by doing something, by trashing the place. It's a shame they just didn't have that extra little thing, just a name change, just to make it seem like your monster really is tearing up Tokyo. So, yeah, victory points in this game, it just doesn't work for me, because you tend to find when people are playing, they are enjoying themselves, it's a good game, but people think in terms of victory points, in terms of if I get this upgrade, it'll get me these points. It just seems a little bit thin, and it shouldn't be, because it's just a small thing that would have made a big difference. So victory points will win you the game. It's King of the Hill. You're either in Tokyo, or you're not. Hilariously, the board has 2 spots, one of which is used in 5 and 6 player game. In all other versions, you just use 1 spot, and the board exists just to tell you, are you in Tokyo or not? It's kind of hilarious, but I love it. There's something about that does work for me. So you hold on to Tokyo as long as you can stand it. The problem is that when you're in Tokyo, everybody else hits you. But you can hit everybody else with a single attack. So you hold on for as long as you can. Each turn that you survive, you score points. If you're going to die or you feel uncertain, you can bail out if somebody attacks you and they come in your stead, which can be quite tactical when they're low on health and you can pull them into Tokyo and have everybody beat on them instead. So it's all about controlling Tokyo to score the points and be king of the hill. But that's not all, because you can score points on the dice. You roll your 6 dice, and if it's a 1, a 2 or a 3 and you get 3 of the same, you'll score that number of points. If it's a sort of full roll of 3 and you get some extras, then they score 1 point each. So again, those dice rolls where you're scoring numbers, they just don't fit into the theme. The other rolls, gain energy, claw somebody and heal, all are sort of things you can imagine the monster doing. But the points, the numbers, they just don't gel. I mean, if the numbers instead of numbers were like a symbol, like a smash symbol, like a sort of a burst, and there were like 1, 2 or 3 of them, maybe you'd feel like you're not just somehow magically accruing points and your monster again is outside of Tokyo but still wrecking things up. So the other way to win is to be the last one standing, and this game can get brutal. You do dish a lot of damage if you want to, and you can take a lot. You can take 10 points before you're knocked down, but when you are out of the game, you are out. This is a game with player elimination. This is a game where if you're smacked down early in the game, you will be sat there with your arms folded for the rest of it. which would be a bad thing, and so would the random dice rolling, because at the heart of this, it does have a very random element. You are throwing dice, you get 2 re-rolls, and that's your turn. But the thing that's important is it's a short game. It's only 15, maybe 25 minutes. It's a filler game. It's not a game you're going to invest a lot into. It takes no time to set up, and you're not going to have to learn loads of intensive and heavy rules. So although there's player elimination, and although there's a random element to the heart of the game, you won't be playing it long, so it doesn't really matter. You know, this isn't intended to be a long strategic title. It's a good, fun game. So it does have holes in the theme that I think just don't quite match up with the mechanics. But like I said, the artwork, this is what holds it together. The artwork is bold and it is brilliant. I mean, it's just so evocative. You've got this lovely cartoony style. You know, you could imagine it being an animation, and the monsters themselves, all 6 of them are identical in terms of what they do in the game. They're all kind of generic, but they are brilliantly created characters. They're larger than life, and they have little cardboard stand-ups. They're about this sort of size. They're nice and big, and they're interesting to look at, and you find yourself playing with them. Even better, although the monsters have no mechanical difference in the game, the players will pick a favourite. And you'll find people referring to, oh, this one's not very good, and that one's better. They're not, they're all the same. But people sort of form attachments with them. Like, I always go for the Kraken every single time. Don't know why, I just like the Kraken. It's got a lot of personality, it's got a lot of character, and the artwork does that. So, in the game, you know, you're smashing stuff up to get your victory points, you're beating each other up to try and be the winner, but you can also get upgrades, you gain energy. And the energy is represented by little plastic cubes, which are pretty cute. They're quite small, not overly child-safe, I would have thought. Somebody's going to end up with one of those stuck up their nose, you just guarantee it. But the energy cubes, you store them up and you can spend them, and you spend them on upgrade cards. Now, the upgrade cards are either mutations for your monster, which give them wings and gamma breath and extra armor plating, all cool stuff that helps you survive and helps you change the game. But you also get one-offs, which are things like the corner store, which you just discard for some points. You stamp it and it's gone. Again, it's not abundantly clear that these buildings are worth victory points because you're stamping on them or destroying them, and that could have been a little bit stronger. But you also get sort of one-off situational events, and these are quite thematic. They're things like jumping off the Empire State Building and elbow dropping somebody, or the army attacks and bombs everything. There is a lot of fun that comes out of the cards, and the great thing with the cards is you get way more than you need for a game. You have 3 in a draft every time. When one's bought, another one's replaced. You can wipe the cards, 3 more come out. There's always 3 cards. But in a single game, you'll probably get through about, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10 cards, and there's a whole deck of them. So each time you play, something new comes out, something interesting and something fresh and a different mix. You never feel like, right, we're cycling through the deck, so this card's going to come out in a minute and I'll have it. You really do feel like it's going to throw something up interesting each time. They've really hit the nail on the head for replayability and longevity of what is, in effect, quite a simple game. Now, I've said it's quite random because of the dice, because, well, you know, what do you expect from dice? But again, you can do stuff to mitigate this. You've got the choice of whether you're going into Tokyo, how long you're holding on in Tokyo, which upgrades you're going to buy. You can, you know, there's not exactly a wheeler-dealing element to the game, but there are certainly sort of threats and promises that fly about the table. So it's not like the game is entirely chaotic and completely out of your control. It is a very good filler game. I don't feel like it has any particular great faults. In terms of teaching it, there's a few of the upgrade cards that are a little finicky, which involve you giving a token to somebody else, and you kind of have to explain those as they come up. But as a whole, the game tends to be easy to explain, quick to set up, easy to run, and it rips along at a good pace. It's a very good game if you have a games group where you need to synchronise, where there's some people playing a long game and you've just finished one and you think they've got about 20 minutes more, but you don't want to start something big just in case somebody from that group wants to play. You play something like King of Tokyo and it will synchronise up your games really nicely. It's not really designed to be played in a string of back-to-back games. After about 2 or 3 games, you've probably hit your limit of how much you'll want in a session, but people always want to play it and people always want to come back for more. And it doesn't matter if you win or lose in a game like this. It doesn't matter if you were kicked out early or if you make it right to the end. It does get people interested, it gets people excited, it gets people shouting and cheering and pointing the finger and shaking their fists. King of Tokyo, a very simple, inherently fairly random game, but it's not trying to be a big tactical affair. It's got excellent artwork, it's got very, very nice components. It does suffer in places from numbers coming through as a mechanic rather than a thematic reason for those numbers. But to be honest, when you're having this much fun, and when you're rolling those hefty dice and seeing the results, you don't care. King of Tokyo, in my opinion, is an absolute monster smash.